How's it going, everybody? In this video I'm going to jump right into some specific outputs. One of the things that I'm doing here is testing dynamic crypto maps. So instead of having to go through and have uh, lots and lots of individual mappings, you basically just treat it like DMBPN but with no tunnels. So one of the things that I'm doing is I've got several pings from PC2 to PC3 and even PC6. So I have a total of 3 computers that are pinging one computer. And one of the things that I did was, which was actually really interesting, and this is the part that I was like, why is this not showing up? So here, I just was doing show commands, looking at things, and I'll show you the configuration here in just a minute. But basically what ended up happening was I was watching these configs or the values and doing the show commands and stuff like that. And one of the things that I noticed was that after a period of time, the phase 1, the ISACamp SA. So if you were to come in and type in the ISACamp SA, hit the enter key, they have a limit through the show run section crypto. On this side, I have it set up for a lifetime of 5 minutes. So I saw that and I was like, okay, cool. So one of the things that I did, and I'm going to go ahead and type in no and pull this out, because I basically have a thinned out config. One of the things that I do as I'm testing excuse me, a configuration and trying to understand how something works is documentation, some blogs, some videos, just to try to get a general understanding of what's going on, and then I'll test it out. And in this particular case here, this is pretty much the bare minimum configuration that I've been able to cobble together to get dynamic crypto maps to work. Now the reason why I have multiple transform sets was in earlier tests that I did, trying to understand the logic to it. But what I did, if I do a show crypto ISASA, we have no active ISACamp connections, right? And they time out after a period of time, 5 minutes to be exact. But if we do a show crypto IPsec SA pipe include PKTS, I'm sending packets to all 3 of them. So if you notice, this one here was 683, 435, 737. So they're incrementing, and they're incrementing quite a bit. Each one of them, all the pings are working. Now what's going to end up happening here, if I go on to if I don't kill the pings on the remote computers, so these are all PCs that are located at different locations, and if I go on router 1, I do a clear crypto SA and hit the enter key, what you're going to see, and we'll go ahead and let me tier them in such a way that it's a little bit more, looks a little bit more hierarchical, if you will. Let me just move this guy over just a little bit so it's easier for you guys to see. The idea here is that if you tier them, then as they come up and they start working, you'll be able to see the reply. Replies are a good thing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to kill the crypto session. So all of them should die, right? And they do die. Request timed out, right? So you get this happens, and then you come through, and then you do your show crypto ISASA, right? You should get something coming through. Now I don't know at what point they start coming back in. I do this and I watch the pings. I'm like, okay, well, how long does it normally take? So I'm going to do a debug crypto ISACamp. I'm going to do a debug IPsec. Because as soon as traffic comes in, now I don't know if I have to go on the remote end and kill it or what, but And this is one of the things that I do in my testing. So right now, none of our configurations are working, even though they were just a second ago. But this is one of the things that I do when I'm testing. I look to see what works and what doesn't. So we have invalid SPIs. So if I come back in here and do a show crypto session and hit the enter key, I don't have anything going on. There's nothing trying to form an adjacency. But I have 3 computers, 3 remote PCs. So let's, because we have the debug running, I'm going to do a show run section crypto real quick. What you have in your config is I have a number of transform sets that are created. Now I've got them created because I had at least the logic that I understood it as is you create multiple transform sets to allow varying ranges of initiating capabilities. Meaning, I might have one endpoint that comes in as ESP AES, another one might come in as ESP triple DES, another one might come in as ESP triple DES or DES, one might come in as ESP AES 256. The idea is to create as many transforms, map it to the dynamic map. Which the cool thing about the dynamic map is you simply have to match on the set the transform set and allow really just a permit IP any, and you will effectively allow any traffic in. So what this does, this is a very lightweight config that you can throw on a router, and the intention here is if I run into a problem where I need to allow lots and lots of connections to my hub, but I don't want to have to go out there and manually configure a bunch of static configurations, this allows me to scale it. So it's been around for a very long time, and the configuration, as you can see, you come in here and you say crypto dynamic map, and then you give it a name and then a priority. And then you set the transform set, you call your transform sets. Then you match the address of what it's going to be calling. You know, what is considered to be interesting traffic. And then you call the crypto map, and then you specify that it's going to be a site-to-site VPN, and then you call it's a dynamic, and you call it the dynamic map, which is calling these 2 guys right here. Then you place this guy underneath the interface. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to do a clear crypto ISACamp and IPsec clear crypto SA. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it to where they automatically start to reinitialize, because the way it's set up right now, I have no choice but to let the remote side connect to me, and right now that's not working. So they're going to continue to try to do this. I'm trying to keep it as real world as I can in this type of situation. And the remote computers have no way of connecting to me other than over the VPN. There's no other way for them to connect to me through the network. That's how I have the routing set up. So what I'm going to, at this point here, we're sending, we have nonstop connectivity. So one thing that I'm going to try here, and at this point I am crypto clear crypto crypto, and then I want to do because right now I don't know how to fix this, so I want to go through and SA, and then I want to specify, I want to do all of them. I want them to all go away. But see, this would normally how you would, my next step would be to go to interface gig 1.115 and shut and do a shut, bounce the port, shut the adjacencies down completely. And then do a no shut to bring them back up. Because then the adjacency will come back up with BGP. Then the remote routers will be able to send their traffic in. And if everything, as soon as it starts working and the router receives the information it's supposed to, phase 1 and phase 2 should just blow up. That's the intention here. So, and right now the way it's set up is router 1 doesn't have enough information to initiate a session from the hub down to the spoke. The spokes are trying to connect back to the hub. The hub has no way of sending traffic back to the spoke unless the spoke initiates the traffic. So it's unidirectional in nature to initiate the tunnel. So I'm not sure why it's not working. There's no ISACamp SA, which is actually really weird because if you show crypto ISA SA, there should be one, and there's not. I don't know why it's doing that. The thing that it's bothersome is if you're sending traffic invalid SPI for destination address. I wonder if I was to go, because I don't want to come down here and do this and do this and do this. I don't want to do this because this is going to be basically the same thing as me calling out to a site and saying, hey, can you turn this off? Which is not what I want to do. I want to be able to come up here and hit the enter key and start pinging. And it's totally not working. Now the only thing I could think of to do would be to log into the remote router. Let me go ahead and start pinging again on this side. Would be to go on this side on like a router 6 and do a do a show crypto ISA and do a, see, here's the other side, show run section crypto. This is a pretty standard configuration, but I'm pointing towards the remote end. Unless, makes me wonder if I shouldn't add, let me do this real quick. Come back underneath this guy and set the transform set and take these three and add it, and then add this guy here to it. And then, but that shouldn't affect the remote communication. At least it shouldn't. I should do a show crypto ISA and clear crypto SA. Clear crypto SA. That should stop any attempt for it to try to come across. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so that's kind of, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Because that means I have to log into a remote system and it makes it very manual. So that fixes that problem. Let's see if I go on this side and do a clear crypto SA. I'm watching this middle VM right here. Okay, that clears that one. So it is a manual clear. So I have to do that. I have to do that on the remote side. It had nothing to do with the transform step, by the way. Clear crypto SA. So I come back over to this guy, and momentarily he should get a. There it goes, and R1 should be blowing up right now. And R1 is blowing up because we're setting up a bunch of VPNs and getting them all squared away. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the debug. That makes a lot of sense to me. But this dynamic, having to clear the remote side, okay. I guess it is what it is. You'd have to bounce the interface and then clear the crypto. But see, that's one of those things too where it would be assumed that you'd have remote connectivity. But the thing is, from a real world perspective, my interpretation of how this would work. So here's my crypto. This is what it should look like. Now after, if we do a show crypto, we do a account, or no, I'm sorry, we do detail. You're going to see that in around the 3-minute mark, all 3 of these connections here are eventually going to time out. The lifetime of the phase 1 will go away, as you saw earlier. So even though that's acceptable and it works in the ping stay, if I was to set the lifetime to be a if I do a show crypto, what is it? Show crypto. Let's is it that one I'm looking? No, it's not. It's session. No. This is going to show me the sessions that I have up. But if we do a show crypto call admission statistics, I currently have 3 active total IKE essays. I have 3 total IPsec essays. One of the things that I was misled on earlier when I was, or I should say earlier today, not in a earlier video, I was under the impression, because IPsec essays are unidirectional, you have 1 outbound and you have 1 inbound per peering. So right now R1, if we do a show crypto ISA essay, R1 has a bidirectional phase 1 between itself and router 2, 3, and 6. But if we do a show crypto IPsec essay, and you go all the way down to the bottom, you have inbound and you have outbound essays. You have the this guy here is the outbound. It's encapsulating packets outbound, and you have an inbound one going this way. So it's a unidirectional out and a unidirectional inbound, and the same thing goes for the other side. That works. Let's see if we can go back to the count or the detail. These guys will all be phasing out here in another around about a minute. So they go away, but the phase 2 stays up, which actually I was a little surprised. I've always seen if phase 1 is up, phase 2 is up. This was a little, it actually threw me for a loop for a minute. I was like, wait a minute, why is that there? And apparently it's as the phase 1 can time out as long as there's still packets being sent across for phase 2. That's okay. It goes against all the logic that I've ever known for VPNs, but as long as there's interesting traffic, the phase 2 stays up. Now I could go to here and type in the do show run section. Okay, so now we're getting time exceeded, and we are it deleted the one from router 6. So I type in do show crypto ISA essay. Router 6 is now starting to phase out. It says there's no state, but that's because we've already initiated the connection, and after a period of time it's going to now router 3 is going to phase out. The SA lifetime exceeded, so it's going to go ahead and start phasing it out of the SA database, which, okay, fine, that works. But for those of us that are familiar with the QM idle, for quick mode idle, it's going to that could really throw you through a loop, because you're like, wait, hold on a minute, why is it doing that? So now they're all deleted, but you can clearly see that they're still working. Now on the show crypto, I think I just went into a yep, I sure did. It's trying to do a DNS lookup on that. Normally what will end up happening is, and the one thing I was going to go check was the IPsec SA. because I didn't set a SA lifetime for the phase 2. There we go. So it's trying to query S right now via. There we go. So if I do a show crypto IPsec SA detail, when you look through, oh, that's because I have a bunch of output here. You're going to see that there is, let's see, I don't believe that there's a, underneath the transform set, or I'm sorry, not the transform set, but the U all here. If you go to show run, or do show run section crypto, and if you go underneath here, underneath the crypto map, this guy, and under here, or I'm sorry, this guy, yes. I did not set the SA lifetime. Actually, I think this might be where I need to set that. Under here, and you set the security association lifetime, and the lifetime here would be either the amount of time in days, seconds, or in how much volume do you want to send over the tunnel. So I could age this one out too. I could say, okay, well, after every 4 hours, if there's nothing to bring down the tunnel. The timers are going to help tighten that up, but that's going to be for tearing down the session. So if you're tearing down the session, that makes sense, but at the same point in time, unless you have a reason to, it's like, okay, well, why would you do that? So you have the Security Association lifetime to do that, and then you have for dynamic VPNs where you're doing a remote access VPN, and iOS does support this, where you can do I believe it is out here, if it's a crypto SSL VPN, and then you can specify SSL VPN on a router, which we'll be taking a look at in the future. This is just another one of those things where I've already done site-to-site VPN, but I've never done it via dynamic crypto maps. So it's just one of those things where it was actually kind of funny. Normally when I'm labbing something up, I do something like this. I'll do a crypto ? And I will work my way down the, most of these I'm familiar with. Like, I know that this is phase 2, this is phase 1, phase 2, phase 1. This is where you would actually type in your password. This one here and this one here are meant for get VPN. You have the engine, how you want iOS to support the engine of crypto. Obviously, we're using the dynamic map call. This one's actually kind of cool. You do a do show run section call. What you're basically, and it's not actually working. If I was to try to spin up another VPN, I don't believe I have router 7 set up yet. I do not. But let's say I was go to here on this guy and type in crypto call admission limit. This is going to limit what is allowed to connect to the VPN gateway. So if I do IKE, I could say I want to limit the amount of maximum active essays allowed. I'm going to say is going to be 3. And then I can say the amount of in negotiation essays is going to be, and I have to do a minimum, and you have to do 10 is the smallest one you can do. Then the last one we can do here is the IPsec and SA, and then you can say as many. So if you specify 3 IKE SA as your limit, you must match at least that many in IPsec. I tested this with 3 and 6 because for every 1 IKE SA you have 2 IPsec essays. So keep these numbers equivalent. Then the next thing you're going to want to do is the call space question mark and then admission. This is a limit of the actual resources on the router itself when it comes to connectivity. So it's 100,000 limit. I usually give it 10,000. And I come down here and do a show crypto call admission statistics, and then it's going to give me statistics. So right now I have 3. The incoming Ike requests, I've had 27. I've had 1 outgoing. Currently, because I initiated this after these guys were up and running, it doesn't show me this, but it does tell me the max Ike sessions is 3, but it doesn't show me what I'm currently trying to connect. If I go over here to the IPsec essays, it detects that there's 3 and all is well. If we do the show call admission statistics, we come in here, and right now it's not trying to do anything. But if we go over to this side here, and I go to router 2, and I do a clear crypto ISA, or I'm sorry, SA, that's going to break router 2. So that broke router 2, and then it picked right back up. So I'm going to do this to router 3. And the only reason I'm doing that is so we can see it actually kicking in statistics. So router 3 should be bugging out, and I believe it did. I do that on 6, so 6 should fail. I'm watching right in here. That failed and it picked right back up, and 3, same thing. So we go back to router 1, go back up to this guy. We can see that we have 3 there working. And if we come into this guy, we can see that actually it's not a whole lot going on there. So that's pretty much the back end pieces of it. So it's actually pretty cool when you start getting into it, and it gives you a little bit of visibility into some areas. I like it because it's something that you have to test, like you have to let things run in order for this stuff to work, and how that would come into play. Now normally I would pivot for stuff like this to ASA, but right now I'm making my way through documentation. I'm making my way through the Safari books online, so on and so forth. So if I come up here and I type in the crypto question mark, I want to know what each one of these options does. Now obviously there's going to be ones that I'm more familiar with than others. I have the key ring configuration that I have for VR, for Wear, VPN, things like that. Then I have crypto VPN. Like I've never gone into here. I don't know. Obviously, AnyConnect in this is the secure desktop package. This would be for SSL VPN. So you would specify the AnyConnect image, and so you would say the name of the installation package. So you can use AnyConnect to connect to a router, not just an ASA. And again, that'll be another video that I do and walk you guys through and how to set up and stuff like that. There's the other one here that I have never touched is the XAuth. XAuth here, and what you do with XAuth. I know it's extended authentication is what it stands for, but I don't know beyond that how it works. So I have to go dig into that. And one of the things that I like, the documentation takes you through some of this stuff, but other things like this, you literally have to. I downloaded the command reference for this, so I will literally go to the command reference. And that's actually how I got into the dynamic maps. Was I was like, well, what's the dynamic map do? And this was like literally today's recording, and I learned about this like 3 in the afternoon. I was going through it, and I'm like, well, what is that? So, and it seemed interesting. So if we come down here and do a show crypto ISA, guess what? They're all idle, and right now we've got about 2 minutes left, and the reason why they're all there is because I bounced them on the remote side. So that gives us a lot of flexibility. The other thing that's kind of cool about the dynamic map that I think is pretty cool, that I'm going to probably leverage more now that I'm familiar with it and I've tested it, is now I've given myself more flexibility in my crypto map configuration. So meaning now I don't have to be so granular and specific. Now that I know you can do this and not have to go through the length of a, I don't have to be as specific if I don't want to. And I can, like if the router only supports this level, I can be like, well, I don't really care what it's going to be. Because earlier today, router 1 had VPN connections to R2, R3, R4, R6, and so on and so forth. But they were all, I was putting all the set peer here in the crypto map. I was setting the ICAMP address with the key up here. So it started to, the configuration started to grow. And I mean, it worked. It absolutely worked. All day long it worked. I had pings going for hours, and it got the job done. The drawback to it is for every peer that I wanted to add, I had to go in there and make sure that I had a crypto ICAMP key command for it to match the address, and I had to set the peer for it, and then I had to go underneath the ACL and add a line. So it was 3 different things that I had to modify as I was getting this stuff set up. Well, guess what? If I wanted to get router 7 up and running on the fly, I'm not going to do that right now, but if I was to get router 7 up and running on the fly and copy the configuration from router 6 into router 7 to get him working, I could add another connection. So I right now it would not actually, if I was to do that on router 7, let's say I said, okay, you know what, I'm just going to do it just to show you that it will fail. It won't work, and the reason why it won't is because I have routers 2, 3, and 6 currently pinging and connected via and right now we should be just about dead. Now they're MMO state, which is exactly what I want to see. What'll end up happening is if I try to get router 7 to connect, I call admission control right here. No, sorry, wrong one. This one here. I've reached the maximum amount of SAs that I can have, right? So this is for Ike. Well, actually now they're dead. So I could technically get more in there. That's the crux of what you could do. So you could add one as long as you've got availability and you're under your maximum limits, then you're okay. Would you normally set 3 as the configured maximum? Well, no, you wouldn't, because that doesn't make sense. But if you know you're going to have at least 10, then you would set your limit to 10, and then you go from there, because that's going to prevent some random endpoint from doing this. So eventually what will end up happening is we'll move away from the pre-shared key and go specifically certificate based. That'll be down the road, but at the end that'll be in the near future. I'm spending my time right now going through Ike and just testing stuff out, and then the next step would be to do Ike v2 and then do the crypto based or the PKI with the certificates, and then move into stuff like that. I intend on doing this for DMVPN, GetVPN, FlexVPN, EasyVPN, getting all of them out of the way, and then that'll give us a good, wide berth of what we could possibly cover in the security section, at least for VPN. And that'll be the bulk of the there's a lot for VPN. I mean, I didn't really realize it until I started digging into it, but that's what's going on. But I wanted to show you this because I thought it was actually kind of interesting of how it actually worked out. I wasn't expecting it, and then it hit, and I was like, oh, that's different. But you see me bring it back up, and I'm hoping that that this benefits somebody, because I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do. I can't, if nothing's working on the remote side, let me try it on the remote side. And chances are, if you have internet connectivity to the router, then you also have reachability to the router to log into it. Normally I don't ever lock myself out of it. I can always SSH to the public IP and get the things that way. That's pretty much where I was going with that. So this is the type of labbing that I do. Go from there, and you guys take it easy.